Mesdames et messieurs,
The greatest festival of our contemporary society, the Olympic Games, is about to begin.
This is going to be close.
Oh! They're all completely gassed! They've given it everything on the global bucket! Oh, yeah! Go! Oh!
Brilliant. But that is an Olympic championship.
Ready?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Keep the Flame Alive, the smartest podcast for fans of the Olympics and Paralympics. If you love the games, we are the show for you. I am your host, Jill Jarris, joined as always by my lovely co-host, Allison Brown. Allison, hello. How are you?
Now I'm feeling the pressure.
Oh, no pressure at all. We'll be on Off the Podium, our counterpart in Australia and Canada's podcast, and he admitted that we were the smartest podcast out there about the games
Because we won the Fantasy Five Rings, another podcast that we made an appearance on, the trivia contest. And I did say that was probably the most important contest that I have ever won. That was very important to me.
Exactly.
I felt so much pressure. I know at the time we said it to Alex, the host of Fantasy Five Rings. If we screw this up, our entire careers are over.
Right.
So thankfully we did not. And what's
did
funny
okay.
is he's been posting some of the things, and I'm very respectful of my own logic in some of those questions. I remember thinking as I was listening to myself, which I guess is a good thing, and I'm saying, yeah, that's exactly how I would think about it. And then I'm like, that is you thinking about it. So I'm nothing if not the smartest Olympic podcast and the most consistent.
There you go. And in your mind, the most logical.
There you go. I'm all for that.
So we will put links to the Fantasy Five Ring stuff if you have not seen it yet, and we'll post on socials at least for our appearance on Off the Podium, which will be for 100 days out next week. So look forward to that.
And speaking of people who are very consistent,
Yes, we are talking with one of the most consistent athletes of all time, I would say, Dame Lisa Carrington. She is New Zealand's most decorated Olympian. She competes in kayak sprint, and since London 2012, she has amassed 8 gold medals and a bronze across 4 games. She has raced in the kayak singles 200 meter and 500 meter, and they phased out the 200 meter. Kayak doubles 500 meter and kayak fours 500 meter. She's also author of the children's book Lisa Carrington Chases a Champion, and she is now an ambassador for Zespri Kiwi fruit. And I believe she's their first ambassador,
couldn't do better than that.
right? We talked with Lisa about paddling, riding, kiwis, and feijoas. Take a listen. Dame Lisa Carrington, thank you so much for joining us. So let's start with kayaking. Your current race length is 500 meters, but you do all the races. So that's singles, doubles, and fours.
Yes.
Are there physical differences in what you have to do as an athlete between working alone versus with one person versus with 3 others?
Yeah. I mean, other than the obvious, it's as you put more people in a boat, the race does get shorter. So roughly 10 seconds for a K2 is 10 seconds shorter than a K1, and then 10 seconds shorter again for a K4. So, yeah, other than that obvious reason, there's a little bit of a different, each boat has a little bit different dynamic. And yeah, so there are differences, particularly technically, paddling with more than one person. You've got to kind of have a really synchronicity, and physiologically, it's more powerful when you're in a team boat because it is a bit shorter and your boat's moving quite a bit faster. So yes, there are slight differences. And there's also like a real magic when you paddle with more than one person. So there's like an extra element of connection and synchronicity that you can get out of working with people. Yeah.
At this point in your career, are you putting the boats together?
Picking, you mean picking the teams?
Picking who you're in the boat with.
No, like I think we kind of, in New Zealand, we don't necessarily have a vast number of athletes to choose from as well. But ultimately, we just try to, I guess, no, like I'm not picking the boats as such, but it's kind of like who's the best, but who makes the boat go fastest. And there are some elements that are required, you know, someone who maybe, we do a lot of training in our individual boats, in our K1s. So it's not necessarily, if you're faster in your K1, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the best teamboat person. So there's also an element of fitting in and synchronicity and technique and that type of thing as well. So you kind of just want the best. You really just want also, like, whilst you want the fastest person to paddle with, you also want to have someone who's also incredibly fun and loves the journey and all those, because it's hard work being an athlete. You don't want it to be a grind every day.
How do you develop that synchronicity in the boat?
Yeah.
And if is usually your doubles partner also in the four boat?
Yeah, typically you in the way that it does, it's a lot easier to have that crew together, because I think when we, what worked really well for us at the Paris Olympics is that the four of us looked at all three races as our races. So whilst, I was on my own in the one and there was only two of us in the two, when we could kind of conceptualize that we were all a part of every race, because each race does require slightly different training and specificity. But yes, to develop that team boat absolutely as technically is massive. And then obviously physiologically, you've just got to be really, like, to be a kayaker, you've got to, for that 500 meters, 90 seconds, you have to be fit, you've got to be fast, strong, powerful. So developing this whole array of physiology as well.
How often do you train with the teams versus working on your singles technique?
Yeah, so it kind of varies as you get closer into a competition. You may get into the crew boats a little bit more. So I think we would do a lot of, I'd say 60% of our training is individual, like in our K1s, and then 40% would be in a crew boat. So it's not necessarily, because you do need to have that individual accountability. And so by working on your own individual technique, which then should, if you have you've got to have the overall picture of what it's for. So paddling in the team, that really helps. Yeah.
Now, are you all physically together, or are you different parts of New Zealand?
We're all physically in the same part of New Zealand. So we all live in Auckland, New Zealand. So I guess the idea is do need to kind of work as a team to get the most out of each other.
So one of the things is that you were also very highly skilled, understatement, in the 200 meter, which got dropped from the Paris program.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, really disappointed, I think, because for me personally, it was an event that, it was where I won my first gold medal at the Olympics. It also created more opportunity to not just do the 500 meters. And so, yeah, it was really disappointing. It's an exciting race as well and really spectator friendly. So I think when we lost that event due to politics of sport, which is, I think, I guess we just have to adapt from that. And I guess I raced in Tokyo Olympics, I raced 4 events. And so I guess then going to Paris, having the 3 events, not that it was any easier, but I guess it allowed for more focus on that.
Did you suddenly go, what do I have with all this time on my hands while you're at the Olympics?
Not at all. Yeah, I guess it was less complexity, and we did actually lose one day. So in Tokyo Olympics, we raced over 6 days, and then in Paris, we raced over 5. So, there's all these changes that occur. Yeah, so, sport's something that's interesting, and yeah, how you kind of keep it relevant and important, and to kind of keep it, whilst keeping the tradition of what we've done for a really long time, but, keep the standards so that it remains popular for the Olympics.
Okay, so you said you're racing over 5 or 6 days, and how do you, I don't want to say how do you do that, but how do you physically manage those days and what's happening through the rounds and sleeping and eating and all those pieces?
Yeah, I guess it's completely planned. So you do understand, I guess you can't go in thinking you're going to have 6 of your, or, the best 6 night sleeps or 5 night sleeps that you're ever going to have in your life. So you kind of have to understand that, you're going to do your best, but also it's all planned. So from, what we're eating, the kind of amount of energy required to do each race, and then looking at it through the week and each race as a building block. So it's all strategized to kind of just say, give your complete 100% when those key races are required. Obviously not floating down the course, because you still have to make semi-finals and finals. So it's being really strategic, because at the end of the day, you've got to turn up to the start line whilst having done heats and semis and maybe even quarterfinals in the best shape you can. So you've got to figure out, you've got to train really hard to be fit enough to kind of repeat good performances. So I guess if those things, you follow the plan, you spend the right amount of energy, you're going to turn up to that final race, the one that matters the most, in the best condition.
How do you, and maybe this is because you've been doing it so long, it's just second nature, but how do you find the right level of energy? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you want to go fast enough in a heat to make it, to not have to do a reposage. And
Yeah.
and so, like, but you don't necessarily want to give it all if you don't
Yeah.
have to. So where do you find that balance? And sometimes is it like right in the race where you know where you're at?
Yeah, so I guess understanding, having, I guess, getting to that point, and it takes a long time and over many years to kind of trust the process, and also understand like what it's going to take, how fast you need to go to make a heat through to the quarterfinals or the semi-finals. So I guess if you've got, like, my coach helps a lot with this and figuring out, what it's going to take. So what's the time what's the time needed to make it through. So you kind of roughly have a gauge on those performances, but I guess also there's the element that you're so well trained and you're really fit that you can kind of do performances that are, of a really high standard, but you can just repeat them. And there is a difference between completely going 100% and maybe holding a percent or two back because it's not required. But I mean, that's why you train for so long, to kind of be able to manage that energy through the whole week. And of course, I'm not going to go out and go do something silly or go for a big walk, or, it's really targeted to just make sure that, the energy is really just around performing. So I guess that's why, and it's not possible to all the time to do 3 really, really good races. Sometimes people can only do 1. So you've got to also know yourself.
When you are racing, how close do you know your time? Like, do you even need to look at the time when you cross the line?
No, it's really tough to know sometimes. I'm also not. Yeah, I also, I don't know, me personally, I'm not that good at picking it, but I think what helps a lot for me is when I've practiced it a lot. And sometimes you have to wait until closer to those competitions when, you've got, all your physiology available. So you go through the year, if we've just come out of off season or doing really a lot of long endurance training, I don't have all the skills that I would have closer to racing. So sometimes it takes a little while to build up that kind of toolkit, which is required to race. And that's, when it's trying to go fast and all the other, anaerobic capacity and all these other kind of physiological building blocks that you create closer to racing. So yeah, there's periodization to it. There's also practice, but you get to a point where you can really feel when a good one happened and when it didn't quite go as well as you want.
How is that different now for you versus 2012 and that time frame?
Yeah, I think when I look back at 2012, the amount of training and my capability and capacity is improved over, that's more than 10 years. But there's also to go a lot faster, you need to do a lot, to just go a little bit faster, you need to do a lot more training. So I think there's also an element of what was already there in 2012, and then I've just managed to build on it since then. And also I can look back and think, there's a really lovely naivety to being new to the world of paddling, and also the expectation of what I hadn't done yet. So that's really amazing, but then also to come through and work through that expectation after doing performances, and then trying to come back to, the purity of what it's all about, which is just kind of enjoying what you're doing and doing it the best you can.
How is it when you are going through I need to get a little bit faster?
Yeah.
And obviously that takes time, but when you hit those walls and trying to break through them, what are kind of strategies that you think about in getting past the really hard part to another level?
Yeah, I think it's I guess it's having the self-awareness of when it is really hard, what is what's happening in my mind? What are the things I'm telling myself? Is it what's driving this? And I think sometimes it's just there's a general acceptance that I'm in a lot of discomfort. And then going, okay, it doesn't mean that I'm terrible or, making judgments from that. It's okay, what is that? And I just want to be better. So what is it going to take? And so for me, it's just having that self-awareness to know, okay, what's going on? Okay, it's really hard, and I'm feeling a lot of discomfort, whether that's pain or, I don't know, just difficult. And then thinking, okay, now what's my next step to be able to stay here? And then understanding, it's really important for me to understand the purpose of why I'm training. In those difficult moments, when it is hard, I think if I don't know what it's for, it's really hard to stay in it. So, if my muscles or my lungs are blowing up, and go, what, this is really important because it's for, my race. And the harder it is now, the easier it will be later, or I'm just trying to keep it, it's all about building something. So connecting it to where I want to go is really important. So I don't do a lot of things for nothing. It's all got to be pretty purposeful, and I don't like putting myself through challenging or discomfort if I don't believe it's going to take me somewhere.
Has that changed over time? Obviously you're much more confident now than you were as a 22-year-old kid, knowing yourself and your body. And how has that changed how you're coached?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think I guess I'm constantly trying to, find that inner confidence and not needing that coaching. I'm probably a little bit, I'm recognizing that I don't live or die by my performance. So, that not every day can I let that go, but I definitely notice that accepting the performance, or if the training didn't go that well, I'm a lot more aware of the bigger picture and not necessarily needing the reassurance from my coach.
How has the sport changed over your career, besides the taking away of the 200, which was a travesty for you and for me who loves you?
The sport changed. Yeah. It's so hard when you're in it. I have my own perspective from, where I sit in high performance, which is a really different part of the sport compared to the community. But we definitely have a lot more support. There's so much in the high performance. There's a lot more strategy and more broadly reaching. So which is great. And we have, when I first started, we just had a few part-time coaches and a few people in the office. So now with our sport getting a little bit bigger and through performances of, winning, our sport can generate more funding, which kind of creates more job opportunity. So I guess there's that part of the sport. And then, there's a lot more girls, which is really cool. And, there can never be enough people paddling. So for me, it's really important to kind of create opportunity for that next step or for the next group of athletes coming through, because sport, people come and go. Sport, you can't stay in this, people don't stay at high performance for as long as I have, and people come in and out. So just creating opportunity for more athletes to come through and be able to reach their potential, I think has definitely increased.
How do you separate Dame Lisa, the icon in New Zealand and the Olympic icon, versus Lisa, who is probably a very normal person in many ways? I mean, normal who can do extraordinary things, but like, do you, what is it like to have people recognize you or be a star in your country?
Like it is interesting. I think it's something that challenges me. I think I think naturally I feel, I think most people, you feel like you need to portray a certain picture of who you are. And so I guess with being a little bit more well known, it kind of gets a little bit more expectation to be that person that people think I am. So that's definitely a challenge to maintain that level of humility or confidence. Like I think there's two things there, because sometimes I'll try to I'll retract, or if I feel that I'll be noticed or that type of thing. But it actually comes with like being confident and not worrying so much about what people think, because I'm sure there's more people now that have more of an opinion than before. And so I think, like you said, I don't think for me there should be a separation between like who that person is and who I am. So that's something that I'm trying to, I have to catch myself on. But I think it's just an extension of me as a person that I always would have been if I wasn't as well known. So just being able to be confident enough and not think that I'm more important than anyone else. So there's a balance to that, and having humility, but also confidence to just be myself. Yeah.
I have a question. I can't figure out how to phrase it. No, but because I do, it's fun to be the best at something. When you were a little girl, did you strive to be the best at something, or was it just like as you went along, you became the best?
There's so many things that you do growing up, and I think that sport is something that I was always fairly good at. I did grow up in a really small community, so I went to a really small school from the age of 5 to I think 12, and so when there's a small group of people, it's not that hard to be good. So I think I wasn't necessarily, I didn't live in our big cities or our big schools where you were ranked in that way. So I guess that maybe it helped to feel confident in sport. I don't know that I would have been super great at that age. We played sports like netball as a winter sport in New Zealand, and then during the summer I got into surf lifesaving. But I guess being naturally athletic, and I guess my parents were both really sporty people. I started sport when I was 5. That was what we did. I have 2 older brothers, so I think there's all these things that kind of lead to being a little bit more physical, because I wanted to be like my brothers. So I was probably a little bit quicker at doing things, catching a ball, being a bit, I don't know, they weren't very mean to me, but you kind of just got to keep up. And wanting to be like them probably pushed me to know or not see my boundaries. Yeah.
Oh, I hope sometimes you're just like to your brothers, excuse me, that's Dame Lisa.
Yeah, when they're trying to tell me what to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
How have your goals changed as an athlete and person over the 4 games you've been in so far?
Yeah, I wonder if I've never been great at setting goals. I think with outcome goals, I've always had this idea of just wanting to be the best I can be. But what I've learned over the time is actually how important it is to have a goal, to have a direction, particularly when you're trying to do it with more than one person. So finding that when we're in a team, at least if we all know where we're going, a goal isn't as scary when you're sharing it, but it also creates that accountability. So that difference between what it might take for me individually to what it might take for us as a team, there is definitely differences in that, and something I've learned over time. But also, like, I keep relearning and understanding what it means to have a goal. But the goals themselves haven't necessarily changed. I think it's more recognizing that they haven't changed, and there is no better option than just trying to be the best you can be with the values that you have. So I think for me it's just realizing that I guess staying true to I guess with thinking that it's all about the performance isn't the best attitude to have, that it's only about winning gold medals. It's more than that, which is hard because sometimes that idea that your identity is wrapped up in whether you win or lose, and as much as we as athletes try for it not to be like that, there's definitely a challenge, because when we go out there and perform, we get this incredible amount of energy and drive and motivation when we are really competitive. So it's like tapping into those energy systems within yourself, but then recognizing that it's not all of who you are, that you're more than just crossing the line first.
Speaking about things you're more than sport, you wrote a children's book.
Yeah.
So how did that come to be?
I think for a really long time, I guess for me, sport feels really selfish. It feels like I'm just working on me. And so for a long time, I was like, are there all these lessons I've learned? Surely there's a way that I can pass them on or figure out, how others can learn from it. So fast forward a long time. And I worked with an amazing publishing house, and and then I wrote a book kind of based on a bunch of those lessons that I've learned. Obviously, it only captures a few, but it was so special to be able to have something that I could share. And I probably didn't realize until I did a bit of a book tour around a few parts of New Zealand and just meeting all the kids. And to be able to connect was really, really special. And so for me, it was not necessarily about passing on the lesson, but about meeting these children that have been have seen me, have been impacted, which was incredible. So really, really grateful. And I guess that kind of experience gave me a bit more to share and connect with people and connect with kids. I didn't really realize that impact until I'd done that. Yeah.
And things outside of sport, you have this new partnership that you're working on, which I love this, that, the kiwi and the kiwi fruit. So Zespri,
Yeah.
tell us how this is all happening.
Yeah, so Zespri are an incredible New Zealand company. We, as New Zealanders, obviously kiwi fruit, being a Kiwi, and something that I guess I feel so grateful to be able to partner with them. They have been a huge part of my life as, the headquarters to Zespri and as near where I grew up. My family have been in kiwi fruit orchards growing kiwi fruit. So it's an amazing connection, and they're they're just a really great Kiwi company, taking on the world. And yeah, so it's really amazing to be a part of that.
Oh, okay, so green versus sun gold versus ruby red.
Yeah, I do love the golden kiwi fruit. They're, yeah, I mean, but they're all pretty good. You know, I think the ruby red's super new. I need to, you know, I've just had it in the last season, so I need to try. I want to have another go.
Kiwi versus feijoa.
Oh, I can't say. Not many people will know what a feijoa is.
I have had them. I've been to New Zealand during like the season during harvest time, and
yeah,
ate a whole bunch. They are very good.
And almost every one will have a feijoa tree, and they only ripen. There's only like a month of the year that you can get them, and they're polarizing. And a lot of people don't like them. Yeah, did you like it?
Did like it until until the person who had the tree said, after we were on like our third one, it's like, yeah, they kind of have a laxative effect, and like we put them down, but I found them really delicious.
Yeah, good. Yeah. We have, like, because people will just have, because people use them as hedging. They're really good hedge plants. Yeah. So then so when they fruit, it's like we'll just freeze them. But yeah, I must say that I'm going to back the kiwi fruit.
So, like, how are they beneficial nutritionally as an athlete? Besides tasting delicious.
Yeah. Kiwi fruit, I don't know, they are a superfood. So they have an incredible amount of nutrients. So vitamin C is a huge one. And as an athlete, we do push our bodies right to the edge all the time. So our immunity can be compromised because we're training so hard. So that's like it's a natural way to kind of get nutrients in, which is so important to have it from a natural source. And then also, like, its fiber is incredible. So really good for your digestion. And I think, it is a superfood. So yeah, it's a really important part of my diet.
And it's in that fun little package.
Exactly. It's sanitary. Just cut it open, scoop it out.
So speaking of New Zealand plants, one of the things that we love about the New Zealand Olympic Committee is how the Olympians and the Paralympians get a silver fern.
Yeah.
For each. So first, do you get one for each Olympics, and are they still alive?
So, because I've been to 4, I don't think this was something we did for our first Olympics. I have 2, so from Paris and Tokyo. So I don't know that we got one in Rio either, but yeah, it's amazing. Like, we planted this kind of stream at the border that borders my house, and so we have to have like a natural runoff, and so we planted it out with amazing native plants, and so it's right in there, and I can see it when I look down, and it's still alive. It's growing really well.
Because I don't know what it means if something happens to it.
I know. I agree. Let's not think about that.
Speaking of getting another plant, what's your career looking like going forward?
Going forward, yeah. So we've got 3 years until the next games, and so I'm back into it. I think trying to, always constantly get better in many ways, and I guess it's trying to understand what it's going to take to perform really well in LA, and then also continually grow and support other paddlers to do the same, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not there to do it on my own, or I can't do it on my own. It's going to be a team effort. So my plans are to continue that work, and then also I have invested, or I've become a part of an ownership group of a really small professional basketball team based in Auckland here. So we've got a really like a 3-month tournament coming up, which starts on Sunday this week, which is really great. So for me, it's also about finding other ways to give back. And, I think women's sport is an incredible space to be in at the moment. And yeah, it's all learning on how I can continue to be, more than just on the water or the athlete. What else can I do outside that space?
Do you
Okay.
bring the basketball players Kiwis?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, they need snacks.
Have you any more ideas?
Well, I
open.
have a practical question, because you did take some time off this year
Yeah.
after Paris. Paddlers are jacked. Like, your backs and your shoulders are amazing. Like, how much did you lose much of that? Like, how is it getting back into paddling? Like,
Yeah.
like world class paddling,
Yeah.
competitive shape.
Whilst I took a break, I mainly took it into just from racing. So I definitely would say that I'm not necessarily at the same level, but I probably continue to train at about 90 to 95% of the time. So probably not, I didn't lose a ton. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's also, I think I have this, I don't want to lose my strength. So, but
Yeah. Well, okay. So do you have to do a lot of pull-ups? Is that part of your strength?
Yeah. Pull-ups. We do a lot of pulling exercises. We have a exercise called a bench pull, which is like a bench press, but the other way around.
Oh,
So from the ground up instead of, So it's, I think last year, whilst I took a bit of downtime off the racing, managed to maintain a fair bit of fitness and things like that.
Oh, almost forgot my favorite paddler question. Shoes or barefoot in the boat?
I'm barefoot, but I walk to the edge of the water in jandals or in, Birkenstocks or whatever. So I've got really soft feet. I don't have tough feet.
Dame Lisa has delicate toes.
Yeah. I'm a softie.
excellent. Dame Lisa Carrington, thank you so much for joining us and talking paddling and Kiwis. And we'll be watching you as you go on to LA, hopefully. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm so impressed in all the little things you knew about New Zealand and New Zealand athletes. So it's really cool.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dame Lisa. You can find her on social at Liz Carrington. We will have links to that in the show notes.
Oh, armonia.
Yes, harmony. That is the theme of our opening ceremonies for Milano Cortina 2026. And this is a universal concept that becomes both a visual and emotional tale, as the organizing committee says. It is a journey through art and innovation, nature and city, tradition and future. It's a tribute to Italy and its values, combining the evocative power of our history and culture with the Olympic spirit. Armonia will serve as the common thread of a story that weaves together imagination and beauty, Leonardo da Vinci and the great inventors, Italian design and taste, music and elegance. Promising a lot.
I'm hoping this is going to be similar to what Athens did. Athens did an amazing job in its opening ceremony with that bringing history and that incredible ancient tradition to life with the living statues. Remember those?
Yeah.
And Milano has this option to really dig deep and go back, which they haven't done in a lot of their design elements. They've done this very modern, edgy, icy futura. And so I'm hoping they do a nice balance of both, a nice combination of both.
Yes, I am hopeful for that as well. And the Italian actress Matilda De Angelis will serve as the narrator for the show. And the ceremonies will include a moment of silence in honor of the late Giorgio Armani, who passed away on September 4th and designed many, many editions of Team Italy's uniforms.
And Armani had those suitcases that I was coveting. Remember?
Yes.
I am still, okay, Team Italy. I am still coveting one of those suitcases. Oh, wouldn't that be amazing if the media backpacks had the hologram on them? I know they probably won't even give us
They won't.
backpacks.
Yeah, we won't get
I know.
anything.
I'll take a
Huh.
patch to just stick it on
Anything.
my own bag.
Anything.
Anything
Yeah.
with that hologram.
So if you thought the Seine River Parade of Nations was physically long, I think Milano Cortina is going to beat that. The show is going to be spread out across 4 locations. They will have Milano's San Siro Stadium. There will be ceremonies going on in Cortina, in Predazzo, and Livigno. The interesting thing will be how they combine all of these. And it'll be a sign for like LA 2028. How do you do a show in multiple stadiums? But the great thing about this is that they put ceremonies in 4 locations so that the athletes could attend. Because otherwise, anybody who's not in Milan basically is not going to be able to go. And that makes me very happy. As we said the other week, each nation's going to have 2 flag bearers. They can be in different venues. And then Italy will have 4 flag bearers, 2 men and 2 women. So I'm very curious as to like, if your nation, like say you're one of the 100 or so cross country athletes. Remember, cross country is the one big sport that gets a lot of different nations. So I would imagine that a lot of their athletes would be there. Maybe that's where the flags come in. It'll be interesting to see how that works.
And interesting to see it live versus what people are seeing on the television or on the broadcast.
Right. It will be seamless on streaming and on your screen, but not so seamless, I would imagine, in person. So we'll see what that's like. The producer and creative lead of the show is Marco Balic, who has been involved with ceremonies for 16 Olympics and Paralympics, including Torino 2006, Sochi 2014 closing ceremonies, and the Rio 2016 Olympic ceremonies. So somebody who's got a lot of experience doing this. Some of those ceremonies were pretty darn good. Looking forward to what they are going to put out because it does feel more real.
I know. Well, 100 days. 100 days.
After a vote by the International Ski and Snowboard Federation Council, Russian and Belarusian athletes will not be able to compete as individual neutral athletes for Milano Cortina. So we will not see any neutral athletes in the skiing disciplines. That includes cross country, ski jump, Nordic combined, alpine skiing, ski and snowboard cross, freestyle, para alpine, para cross country, and para snowboard.
Good.
I mean, it is causing
it's
causing a lot of controversy. It's interesting because the IPC General Assembly voted to have athletes in, but if the federation says no,
federations run the competitions,
right.
as we've talked about.
U.S. listeners, Scott Hamilton will be joining Mike Tirico in the studio every night to cover the figure skating competition for NBC. It's his 10th Olympics, so he ties Dick Button for announcing. This will be very cool. I mean, obviously the U.S. has a big presence in almost all of the disciplines, so they will be on watch every night.
And Scott Hamilton's now my friend because
that's right.
We were in the elevator together for 14 seconds. So, hi, Scotty. Look forward to seeing you.
Abhinav Bindrov, who his story we read for book club, he announced on X that he's going to be a torchbearer for the torch relay.
Oh, that's very cool.
It's very exciting. From the follow-up file from snowbrains.com, Czech skier Ester Ledecka had to pick one discipline. As you recall, she competes in both snowboard and Super G in alpine skiing, and she's won golds in both, was the first winter Olympian to win golds in 2 different sports at the same Olympics, and they scheduled them both at the same time because she is qualified for both. The schedule did not work out. She petitioned. That did not go her way, and she has had to choose, and she's decided to compete in snowboard, and that will be an attempt at a three-peat in the parallel giant slalom.
And we will be cheering for her.
Right.
She deserved to be able to compete in both, but
yeah,
we want her successful in the one that she chose.
Yes. And, oh my gosh, the sliding novella had hopes. And then Italy finished that. And then the organizing committee said, oh, we're done with the village on time. And I'm like, what is going on? Italy is really following through on stuff. But there's a novella sitting there waiting for us to open it. I'm so excited. And I know it's not nice to be excited about something not great possible. But this happens every time. And we knew it was going to happen. There's an issue with the new hockey stadium.
And Sean Callahan, when he was in Milan, said this did not look anywhere near done.
Oh boy. And he was in what, July? August?
Not long ago.
And we're going to have Sean on the show soon talking about the different places that he went to. But the AP is reporting that the new 16,000-seat Santa Giulia's hockey arena will not be finished in time for the test event in December. And they're going to have the main test event in a smaller venue where they're going to test operations, but they're not going to be able to test the ice and the playing surface that's actually going to get used in the Olympics. The new venue might not have a game until the first women's prelim match on February 5th. And the Milano Cortina 2026 CEO, Andrea Varnier, said the construction timeline is very tight.
You think, Andrea?
Yeah, right. And then the other one, I love this. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman is concerned and has been concerned for the last 2 years, rightly so.
Right, because there's an issue of player safety if you haven't tested the ice surface.
Right. But he did say that the NHL is a IOC guest and that it's the International Olympic Committee's responsibility to do the venue, to which we say, Gary Bettman, you don't know how this really works. The IOC is not responsible for anything. It's Milano Cortina. And
you sweet summer child.
Yeah, I know. So the NHL expects that Milano's going to make good on this brand new venue and have a first class venue from a competitive standpoint ready to go.
Of all the venues you could have screwed up, we thought it was going to be the sliding track, right? And that, okay, you had backups, but the hockey arena where you've got NHL players who are probably going to be some of the most demanding in terms of expectation for their venue, just because, the NHL players and even the players from the PWHL as well, they're not used to scrimping on their venues.
Right.
And I'm not talking luxuries. I'm just talking about quality of ice, quality of safety measures, everything being up to snuff. This is not the venue to mess up, Milan.
Right. And you have sold tickets for this venue.
A lot of tickets.
Yeah, it's a hugely popular event. Once you got NHL signed on, what a draw that is for the fans. And you've got this 16,000-seat arena that you wanted to build because I think after it's done, they want to turn it into a tennis venue, which would be nice because the Italian tennis players have really been on the up and up for a long time. And when you're going to test in a smaller venue, what if you have to move to that smaller venue? I don't know what the plan B is here.
They're using both venues, I think, as it is.
Oh, that's right.
So I think the plan B is you have games 24 hours a day. There's no other, or you just have games in a crummy facility.
Right. It could be that what gets done is, I don't know. We'll have to look and see if there are pictures or try to find out something of what is going on with the actual construction on this. And the test event in December, which I believe, but don't quote me, I believe that's early in December. And then you'd have 2 months.
Yeah.
Don't know, but we got a new novella on our hands, people.
I can tell you what's not going to be done in that arena. The press room.
Right.
The press bathrooms better be finished, man. I'm telling you that right now, because those hockey games can get long. Those sessions you're there all day.
Yes. So we'll see how this one goes.
Welcome to Shukflastan.
It is the time of the show where we check in with our team Keep the Flame Alive. These are past guests and listeners of the show who make up the citizenship of our very own country, Shukflastan.
Bobby Body won bronze at the Powerlifting World Championship, breaking the Pan Am Games record in the process.
Race walker Evan Dunphy and his fiancée Sarah were married on October 12th.
And I want to see pictures of Mama Dunphy's dress because we had a whole discussion with Evan about his mom buying a dress. Also on exciting family news, Rugby Sevens coach Ben Ryan and his wife Michelle Ackerley welcomed baby Nala Lomani Ryan on October 14th.
Get well wishes to wheelchair racer Daniel Romanchuk, who did not get to race in the Chicago Marathon this year due to a shoulder injury, but his wife ran it.
Nice. Pole vaulter Katie Moon was honored by her alma mater, Ashland University, with a pillar at the Dwight Scharr Athletic Complex on campus.
And Team Schuster is competing in the 2025 Pan-Continental Curling Championships. And I have something about listener Brian and I have been talking. Remember last week when you talked about video game cassettes? And I scoffed.
You scoffed. And did listener Brian come to my rescue yet again?
Did come to your rescue yet again. There may be something in our Substack newsletter about this because it's fabulous. He said there were a couple games for the Atari 2600. There was an alpine skiing one, and then there was a decathlon one, where if you scored high enough, you took a picture of your screen and you mailed it in, and they would send you an actual patch.
Listener Brian coming to my rescue again. You know, he's the one who we had a whole discussion about Gina Lollobrigida. So listener Brian has saved me and my cultural references more than once. But yes, I knew there were video game cassettes. And I would very, very willingly take a picture of my screen. I was never very good at Atari. And I would have sent it in for a patch, but I would never have scored high enough.
Yes, apparently if you got on the podium, they had a gold, silver, and bronze one. And he said he worked very, very hard. But every time he went to take a picture, like the camera was not very good. I mean, you're taking a picture of your with your camera and you would have to develop the film and then you send it in and then you wait like 6 to 8 weeks for it to come back.
You needed a Polaroid.
Right? You did need a Polaroid. But that was a fun and amazing thing when you think about like the blurred lines between video and analog stuff. And I'd love to know because we've talked a little bit in the Facebook group about the video games that have happened. And if you've got a video game or played like that Tokyo 2021, which I believe was online as well, or an app.
Yes. If
If you've got favorite sport games.
And it's so fun to hear the generations. Like I remember having an Atari as a kid.
Mhm.
But then, you know, I know Book Club Claire is that much younger than us and talks about, you know, Sega and some of those
Yeah.
other things. And then, you know, some of our other listeners being children in their 30s talking about, you know, the PS1s or the, you know, the PlayStations and how quickly over these past 40 years the video game systems changed. And the Olympics really got into it early and need to get back to it. Get back with Sega. And I mean, you have your agreement. Make me a video game cassette that I can play.
So yes, if you have favorite Olympic titles or favorite Olympic adjacent stuff, like decathlon wasn't an official Olympic thing, but boy, you think about Olympic sports, it's decathlon. So if you've got some favorites, let us know what they are, and we'll try to put together a little compendium and go down that rabbit hole for a little while because I think it would be a lot of fun. What else we'd like to hear from you is what you think of the show, and what do we got for our review of the week?
So our friends over at Run Your Story podcast said that we have a great podcast and that we are fantastic ladies who are so encouraging.
Thank you very much, friends. And if you would like to hear your name here, leave us a review on your podcast app or check out the other ways to get in touch with us in the episode details. You can leave comments on our Facebook page or group or write into the show, leave us a voicemail. We'd love to play your voicemails for sure. And that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening.
And until next time, keep the flame alive.